The following program contains graphic calls to personal responsibility. If you are addicted to the system, Randall may not be right for you. Check with your local welfare office.
Body, blood, soul, and divinity, Jesus, we come to thee. Body, blood, soul, and divinity, Jesus, we come to thee.
Standing for truth in the four corners of America. Fighting for justice on the frontiers of the culture wars. And turning resistance into an art form. Randall Terry.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. There is a time to be calm, to relax. There's a time to be vigilant, even hypervigilant. I'm going to talk to you today about hypervigilance with the 4 F's: food, fun, friendship, and folly. I think you're going to find it interesting.
The second law of thermodynamics is exactly like the Second Amendment. No, you nitwit. Entropy has nothing to do with the right to keep and bear arms. What I mean is that they're both laws. The right to defend yourself is a natural law, and entropy is a universal law. Think.
Welcome to the program, friend. Have you ever heard the phrase hypervigilant? Hypervigilant. It means to be on the lookout on steroids. Be hypervigilant. We have a son, in case you did not know, his name is Michael, and I ask you for prayer for him, who has been diagnosed with lymphoblastic lymphoma, which is a cancer. He is currently having chemotherapy treatments. It's very rough. The 2 immediate prayer requests that we have are, number 1, that we can just keep food down in him, because the chemo makes him sick and he's losing weight, a lot of weight. And then the second thing is, we're trying to discern if we should continue at Johns Hopkins, which is a great hospital, it's just really far from us, or if we should try and relocate for 2 or 3 or 4 months to St. Jude in Memphis, Tennessee. It's very cumbersome. I won't bore you with the details, but I genuinely ask your prayers for Michael. And for those of you who have sent cards, thank you. We are reading, my wife and I are reading every email that's sent to us. We are reading every card and email that is sent to us for Michael, and it's really lifting his spirits. And you can go and learn more about his situation at our website, voiceofresistance.com or .org. I want to dedicate this show today to the concept of hypervigilance for ourselves and for our children and for our grandchildren. Peter wrote, "Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour." So what I'm about to discuss with you, we're going to cover 4 F's: food, friendships, fun, and folly. Okay? We're going to cover those 4 F's today for you, for me, and for those of us who have them, for our children and for our grandchildren. Let's start with food. Part of what we are fighting now as we seek to save our son's life is to get the foods in him that will help his body heal itself alongside of the chemotherapy, and which will starve out the cancer cells. Scientists know, for example, that cancer eats sugar. Let me say that again. Cancer feeds on sugar. The medical world, I just sat here and read something from the AMA or one of the medical websites, that spoke of the worldwide epidemic of type 2 diabetes in children, and that the nations that use high fructose corn syrup in their foods have a spike of type 2 diabetes that far outstrips the nations where they don't use high fructose corn syrup. It is related to pancreatic cancer. Okay? Now, before our son got sick, my wife and I were doing an enormous amount of research, and we will bring you up to speed on future shows regarding diet and the danger that we are all in from GMOs, from the tampering with our food supply. Why is it that Americans have more cancer, more diabetes, and more other ailments than many nations in the world? It's clearly related to our food chain, okay? They're discovering slowly but surely, methodically, with painstaking accuracy, the connection between a lot of childhood and adult diseases and ailments that are directly related to our food chain. That's a twofold problem: what we are ingesting and what we are failing to ingest, okay? So my simple encouragement to you is do your own research. Find out the value of raw foods, okay? Fruits, vegetables, especially vegetables like broccoli, asparagus, spinach, kale, collards, mustard greens. These things are high in nutrients that fight cancer cells in our body. Look for yourself the danger of sugar, okay? Sugar, especially high fructose corn syrup, is a health risk. And there's a lot of people that are making us think about it. So there's a lot of products right now that they stamp that label that you're seeing there, no high fructose corn syrup. You can get food right now, you can get corn that's not genetically modified. You can get it. So these are simple precautions that you can take to ensure better health for your family. But one simple thing that I encourage you to do, just don't give your kids soda pop. Don't let them eat junk food, high processed, high sugar junk food. Because if you do, you may be paving the way for them to get type 2 diabetes or to have pancreatic cancer or a whole host of other issues when they're older. When we come back, we'll talk about friendships, talk about fun, and we'll talk about folly, masquerading as education. Every day in America, over 3,500 babies are torn apart by abortion. Shouldn't all babies, like this living, unborn child, have the right to life? Baby killing will only end when Americans see the truth of what abortion does to innocent children. You can help end this Holocaust by showing the truth of abortion in your area with a Face the Truth tour. Go to FaceTheTruthAmerica.com to set up a Face the Truth tour in your area. The babies and their mothers will be eternally grateful. How would you like to be able to reach hundreds of thousands, perhaps millions of potential customers with your product or your company or your web-based business? Well, you can do that right here on this show. Every single day, we get phone calls or letters or orders online from states all over the country where people are watching this television show. Right now, we are seen in 45 cities at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time every night, and then a rerun again at 12:30 midnight. You can reach them using this show at advertising rates that are so inexpensive, it would blow your mind. So, if you're interested, contact us at the phone number that you see on the screen or the email address, and we can talk about how you can grow your business and help support this show.
The first duty of a university is to teach wisdom, not trade, character, not technicalities. Sir Winston Churchill.
Welcome back, friend. This segment is going to be particularly painful for me and will be hopefully instructive for you and might cause some warning bells to go off. And I want to talk about friendships and being hyper vigilant regarding friendships, particularly for your children and your grandchildren. 1 Corinthians 15:33 says, "Do not be deceived. Bad company corrupts good morals," or ruins good morals. My oldest son from my first marriage, Jameel Terry, who I adopted, God rest his soul, he died in a car crash almost 2 years ago. He was killed instantly. He had decided that he was an active homosexual and that he was going to not only participate in that lifestyle, but he was going to promote it. If you have small children that are watching right now, I suggest you either record this and watch it later, or you ask the kids to scoot out of the room. So that was my formal warning. Friendships. Bad company corrupts good morals. I was raising him to be a Christian. We talked about the scriptures. We studied the scriptures. We went on a missions trip. We went to famous Christian sites. We used to joke that I would become president someday and appoint him to the Supreme Court. Well, we were going to church very regularly, 2-3 times a week. And in that church, there were families that we were close to, and we allowed sleepovers, all right? Boys hanging out with boys, teenage boys, young teens, mid-teens. And later on in life, my son wrote and spoke of the fact that at least 2 of those teenagers that were from 2 separate families, families that I trusted and families that trusted me, that these young boys were involved in unspeakable acts together while they were either in the homes of our friends or in our home. I didn't see that coming, and I wasn't hypervigilant. So the stats, the last stat that I heard was that 1 in 7 boys is sexually molested before he reaches 18 years old. I've heard numbers that are higher than that now. I don't know what the exact numbers are, and frankly, it wouldn't surprise me if the numbers were low. But the simple fact is, let's say that you trust a family and you have your son or your daughter go to that family's house. You don't know what's going on. You don't know who's going to come to that house that is not even a part of that family. Okay? And some people are tempted to say, well, you just can't protect children that much and you can't be crazy. Really? Really? Some people say, well, my son is a missionary. We're raising our kids to be missionaries. That's great. Adults are missionaries, not children. Children can become a prey. And I want to encourage you to think back. Some of you have horrible experiences, horrible memories from when you were a child of things that happened to you, things that happened to someone that you love, or things that you saw, things that you witnessed. It is not godly counsel to say to someone, you know, kids got to grow up sometime. They're going to be exposed to a lot of stuff in the world. That is not vigilance. That is not vigilance. That's laziness. That's carelessness. And you and I, as parents, as grandparents, we have a biblical duty, a Christian duty, a God-given command to be vigilant for the sake of our children. And if we are negligent in that, it is possible that our negligence will pave the way for some harm, some marring of the soul to happen to our sons and daughters. I don't want that. I'm not going to let that happen with these boys that my wife and I are raising now, our 4 little sons. And I encourage you, be hyper vigilant when it comes to the friendships that your children have. I'll be right back. Do you want to have knowledge, wisdom, discernment? If so, you have to read good books on theology, history, books that look at the lives of great men and women. So to help you to become a more effective Christian, a better witness for truth, somebody who can engage in productive conversation that exhorts and edifies those that you speak with. We're going to do something crazy. We're offering you these 7 books for a gift of any size. You just pay for the shipping and handling, and then give whatever gift that you can, and we will send them to you. But just to make it a little bit more crazy, I will send you a second copy of my 3 books, autographed. You can give them as a gift to your pastor or to a family member and help extend truth and justice in the world. This is while supplies last.
Hi, friend, I'm Randall Terry. Thomas Jefferson said, "A Bill of Rights is what the people are entitled to against every government, and what no just government should refuse or rest on inference."
Fun. Who doesn't want to have fun? Entertainment, okay? It can be good. It can be destructive. David wrote in Psalm 101, verse 3, "I will set no base thing before my eyes." And to just give you one other Bible verse, I'm reading from the book of Malachi, "And he shall turn the heart of the fathers to the children, and the heart of the children to their fathers, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse." As parents, our hearts need to be united with our children, not divided. We need to be vigilant over them, not careless with them. And right now, entertainment, fun, is proving to be one of the most destructive things in children's lives. I have a friend whose two nieces, ages 5 and 9, they're playing dress up one day, and they said, "Hold on, Uncle," and they went in the room, came out wearing little girly clothes, and started doing a strip tease at ages 5 and 9. He said, "Whoa, whoa, 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 where did you see this?" And then they went on to explain that they have cable in their bedroom, they can watch whatever TV shows that they want, and this is what they're watching, and this is what they're doing. Children of that age have no business having access to television. They have no business having access to a computer or to an iPad. I recently bought the Transformer series. I'd never seen them, the movie, the Transformers. I thought, well, this might be fun for the boys. But we review things before we watch them. And inside of 10 minutes, there was this scene with the mom and the dad, and some of you have kids in the room. Like I said, you need to get them out. But I'll just say that it was morally illicit. And I thought, I actually destroyed the video, the DVDs, and I said, I cannot believe they are putting this in videos for young boys. The corrupting influence on them, putting the images in their mind, putting the thoughts, the words in their mind. It's cumbersome. It's difficult to be hypervigilant for your children. It is. It's not easy. It can wear on you. But what happens if we don't? So what do? Well, there's a lot of fun that you can have. You can do something crazy like play catch, play Monopoly, play Parcheesi, play a card game. You can watch a movie. There's nothing inherently immoral about movies, but preview it. Know what it is that they're watching. And if there's something that goes on in it where there's a bad guy who's prevailing, you can use it as an object lesson because their consciences will be troubled by what they see, right? You can watch Scrooge and have great object lessons. You can read. I mean, that's craziness. I know I'm going over the top now. We do something crazy with our children. We read to them Chronicles of Narnia, and we pretend that we have different voices and different accents. Classic books. Read poetry to them. Yes, it takes time. Yes, it means that we don't have time to do the things that we would like to do. All right? I mean, things that are not involving the children. Don't get me wrong. We like doing things with our children, but it's tiring. It costs something. All right? Picking up your cross costs something. But hear me, not picking up your cross costs something. There's a cost. You're going to pay. All right? So if we don't exercise hypervigilance for our children and our grandchildren, there's a cost to pay. The Bible says a father who leaves a child to himself will be brought to shame. It'll bring pain to the mother. There's a price to pay. So I've got to take a break. Hypervigilance when it comes to your children's entertainment. Use it. it'll pay off in the end, and the cost is worth it. For their sake and for yours, and for their eternity. Do you want to get America out of the hands of wicked and unjust men and women who are destroying the republic before our eyes, and put leadership back into the hands of righteous men and women so that we don't die as a nation? Well, you're talking about social revolution, and there are rules in social revolution. We can look at the victorious social revolutions of the past, such as the end of slavery, the end of child labor, women's voting rights, the end of segregation, and so much more, and learn from their victories. Look at their actions, their images, their rhetoric, their sacrifices, and their final fruit. We will send you this series that originally cost $129, 7 books for students, 1 teacher's guide, if you'll give a gift of any size and just pay for shipping and handling. Take advantage of it today. Welcome back to the program, friend. Finishing up talking about hypervigilance. Most of us who are adults have said and done things, thought things, failed to do things that we deeply regret. Sins, things that bother our conscience, things that we've asked Christ to forgive us for and that we've repented of and that we move on, all right? If we really want to examine what happened, we can see stages that led up to those things, where if the stage had not been there, it's possible that we would not have done or said or failed to do that thing, okay? So part of why I'm having this discussion with you on hypervigilance for ourselves and for our children and grandchildren is to clip the bridges that lead to destruction and to build the bridges that lead to everlasting life. I mean, I ask you, what's the purpose of us being down here? What's the chief end of man? To know God, to love God, and to enjoy Him forever. To have eternal life. To go to heaven and to not go to hell. At the end of our lives, for every single person. That's what's at stake here. So our duty as parents, in our hypervigilance for their souls, is to help build the bridges, help lay out the pathways, to train up a child in the way he should go so that when he is old, he doesn't depart from it. And training, whether it's in a sport or in the military, training camp, it's hard work. It takes focus. It takes forethought. And it can have some fun. But if you don't do training well, just give a guy a gun and say, go fight, then what happens? They find that there's a lot of casualties. A lot of people who die needlessly. That's one of the reasons that the U.S. decided it was going to have so much time spent on training. One of the greatest places of danger right now, folly, the 4th F, is in education. Martin Luther wrote hundreds of years ago that he feared that education would become, and I'm liberally quoting here, but he said, I feared that it would become a gateway to hell. That if education was separated from ethics, from the 10 Commandments, etc., it would lead children to hell. I remember being in high school in the 1970s and learning in my health class about illicit drug use, sexual immorality, and it was presented to us in public school as a positive good, as a thing worth exploring, a thing worth experimenting. Look back on your own life. Look back at the things that happened to you, things that you learned in public school that might have caused harm to you. And then simply ask, is there anything that I can do for my children or my grandchildren to homeschool them, to put them in a private school? Because the simple fact of the matter is that most, not all, but most of our government schools, public schools, are so overrun with a Planned Parenthood agenda, a socialist agenda, an anti-God agenda, an evolution agenda, that to put our children in that atmosphere for hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of hours is to jeopardize their eternal salvation.